get started anyhow. My name is Leslie McGraw, and this is Bob Cummings, and we're so glad to, and this is Michelle Rogers from Heritage and the Southeast Michigan Media Lab, which is, this is where you are. So this is the Spark East building. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Spark, but they have a Spark building in Ann Arbor, and this is the east component to the Spark building. And there's a couple of things that go on. One is that Heritage started the Southeast Michigan Media Lab last year, and they are available from 12 to 4 by appointment, Monday through Friday. And so she can make an appointment with you if you have quirks, like you're trying to, learn how to start your blog, like in detail. We'll go over sort of the concept of how, like, the best practices for blogging and best practices for blogging for nonprofits and community organizations. But, and we'll try to answer real specific questions, but if it's like, I had someone one time I was teaching a workshop, and she said, well, can you explain to me what is a blog? And then I explained, and she said, well, what is, like she had like kind of detailed questions, so we don't want to, we have a lot of information we want to make sure that we impart to you today. So just write down your questions. Does anybody need pen or paper, anything like that? Huh?
I'm going to write on the back of this, but if you have extra paper, I wouldn't mind.
I think that's all.
I tend to type, but
Yeah, it's a different kind of memory too when you write something.
thank you.
You're welcome. And so, I guess not.
Are you doing
Hold on
it
a
from
second. Hold on, Bob.
You're doing it here.
I'm gonna make it do right. So, what's that in the way? Oh, thanks. So anyways, the Heritage has a blog, which you see here is the communitymedialab.wordpress.com. And everything you see here, we put online, this whole presentation. Also, as far as Facebook, there's facebook.com, Community Media Lab. Also, facebook.com, you can, I keep my writing kind of separate from the business. So the kind of writing and journalism, I keep up with people on Let's Go For It. And then also if you go to bob.cummings.9693, which is on the sheet you have here from Bob, you can keep up with him on Facebook as well. So you might say, well, why do people give me a Facebook? Does anybody know why you do that, get people's Facebook and Twitter accounts?
Why do we get them? So we can stay connected with them, we can share information, we can cull information from them, we can see what the trends are, we can do all kinds of things.
Yeah, you can see what the trends are and all that kind of thing. And also, if you have like a blog that, either myself or Bob is interested in or whatever, or we have a page, you can always just ask, but then post. A lot of times people don't mind posting other people's blogs because that, as a page administrator, sometimes it's hard to keep fresh content up. So you can not only get your blog out there, but also be helping that administrator out too. So also follow us on Twitter. So it's twitter.com/communitymedial. That's the L is the hip word for lab. Hey, come on in. I'm Leslie.
Hi, I'm Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Sorry I'm late.
Oh, hi.
Bob,
Hi.
thanks for coming.
I told him workshop time is 10 minutes after. So, and then Bob's on Twitter at twitter.com/CSINMichigan, and again, that's on Bob's sheet right here. Bob keeps a lot of stuff up on his Twitter.
Yeah, pretty active on Twitter.
So we wanted to go around. I know, some people either love or hate introductions, but I think they're so beneficial to any workshop. I'm not gonna do an official icebreaker in lieu of time, but we will, if we could just go around, just say who you are. Like, you don't have to say like, you know, I'm the vice president of the Michigan League for, you know, Wildlife Refuge and all that kind of stuff if you don't want to. We just wanna know who you are and where you are in your blogging enlightenment. So are you a blogger? Are you thinking about blogging? Are you like the newsletter person for your place? And if you have or if you're part of a cause celeb, you know, put that out. And your expectations. We'll start with you.
You want me to start? Hi, I'm Janet Hawkins. I work at Washtenaw Community College in the marketing department. I do media relations for the institution, which means I work with local media to get news out about the college. I am an adult learner when it comes to blogging. I don't blog currently. I should be blogging, and I hope to blog soon. So I'm here to get some background information on what works and what's successful for other bloggers, sort of the pitfalls to look out for, and some of the benefits of blogging that I might, and ideas. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
My name is Pete Kagan, and I'm with the Internet Business Provider. And what I do is I help businesses with their blogs, websites, SEO, etc. But my main emphasis is affiliate marketing. So I show people how they can actually profit from their websites and especially nonprofits, and how to raise money by using their site, by using their blog also, because they can make money off their blogs.
Great.
My name is Mary Jackson, and I am not I'm volunteering for a couple of nonprofits right now. I've been a nonprofit administrator before, and when I stumbled upon you guys on Facebook, I thought, well, no better way to get to know an organization than to take one of their free classes. So here I am. Blogging has always kind of interested me, but so.
Oh, good. Get your feet wet. Yeah, that's what I love. Nancy. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to steal your thunder by saying your first name.
Hi, my name is Nancy Fisher and I'm from South Lyon. I actually saw this advertised in the Current magazine, and it appealed to me because I'm involved in a bunch of volunteer projects and with nonprofits. And so I'm really interested in how blogging can sort of draw attention to some of those projects that I'm involved in and create awareness about their missions and what they're trying to do. I hadn't thought about monetizing the blogging thing, so that's kind of an interesting angle. And my expectations, I'm just hoping to learn what makes for effective blogging, and again, just how to increase reach and just those elements of social media.
Okay, great.
I'm Gordon Thorsby, and I just started blogging again, with Michelle's emphasis, last month, and I'm a little challenged on a couple of mechanics. What I'd like to do whenever I get into something like this is I'd like to become really good at it, and right now I'm feeling really frustrated at it. The writer's block problem, I'm not having a problem on that. It's the mechanics of the WordPress and just getting it, the blogging set up and really getting it. And I know that as soon as I get it going and get things, it's going to just fly. I've worked with some nonprofits before, and this kind of stuff is very helpful to communicate to their communities that they're trying to do it with. And my expectations, I've got a low bar. Hey, one or two tips, great.
One or two tips. We could do that.
I brought a few.
We could do that.
I'll
Two of us. I think we can do 2 tips. Behind you.
Just introduce myself.
Yeah, introduce yourself and tell me where you are in your blogging enlightenment and that kind of thing.
My name is Lindsay Boy, and I'm the communications coordinator at the National Kidney Foundation. We're located in our main office is in Ann Arbor, but we have some other statewide offices as well.
And we actually don't have blog right now. We do have lots of other social media outlets, but we're looking to establish and develop a blog. So I would love any information and tips I could get about that, really.
So Lindsay is like, she would be representing what I meant when I said like a cause celeb. So everybody may not know all the ins and outs, but people recognize when you say National Kidney Foundation, right? And they have a pretty good awareness. So some things may be easier for her, if she attaches it, to a blog. But I think outside of that, anybody else here from a cause celeb, like a big, well-known organization?
I'm known worldwide.
Oh, I didn't know.
I'm just kidding.
Just
kidding.
Yeah, me, Google me.
Oh,
No.
yeah,
Maybe not.
Wow.
So like I said, we want to look over the easier for you to look from the other way. Best practices for blogging. Also connect with.
She, tell us who she is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I kind of. Michelle's here. Yeah, please do.
I'm Michelle Rogers. I'm the director of the Southeast Michigan Media Lab. I'm also director of community engagement and editorial training for Digital First Media, which is parent company to the Oakland Press, the Macomb Daily, Heritage Newspapers, News Herald Downriver, Morningside and Mount Pleasant, a number of papers across Michigan. And I'm here at this Media Lab from 12 to 4, Monday through Friday, if you need help, or by appointment. I can set up morning hours as well, but you can just pop in 12 to 4 without an appointment. And we're here to help you. Our help is free. We also host workshops like this one, and you can find out and sign up for workshops easier using meetup.com. They notify you every time we post a new workshop. And like I said, if you need help with your blog or anything to do with digital media, I'm here to help. From setting up social media accounts to creating videos, timelines, a number of different tools I can help you with.
Okay, good. Thank you for slowing it down. So we got Michelle in. Also, I wanted to, that brings up a good point. In front of you, you'll see a few things, so you'll be acquainted with kind of this is your dashboard for today. So this main part of the workshop is on script. Did I say that right? Is it script or script? SCRIBD is also on the Facebook event page. And if you want, I can email it to you too. So the kind of PowerPoint thing. And then Bob, who is a very successful blogger in the state of Michigan, he's gonna go over what you see on the sheet here. And you also will see a sheet from the Community Media Lab, the Southeast Michigan Media Lab from Michelle. Also, Bob and I put our business cards. Both of us are within reason available for like quick questions or if you have about your blogging experience. Also, I put a coupon. So I kind of have a couple of different lives, and in one life, I own a business called Let's Go Social Media Marketing and Training, and so I help market writers and entrepreneurs. And so I have an upcoming class in August, and if you use this code on here, you can get $10 off a $50 class, which is pretty good coming up in August. So, and my background is I call them my 4 children. So I have one child who's 16 years old, like the physical child, and I have the next one is writing. So I have a background. I do a few different forms of writing. So I'm a freelance journalist with several different places as I'm able. I also am a paid blogger through BuyerZone and LiveScript. And I'm also a poet. So, so I do I've been in competitions, like physical competitions, and I also, write poetry. So I do spoken and written poetry. And then community is my 3rd child. And so I'm, have a background with just being, a resource. And so I see social media and all that the same way I see being in the community. So I consider myself a community slacktivist or activist, you know, kind of in the middle. So I'm not out laying in front of railroad tracks, but I try to, you know, advocate when I can and, you know, involved with the arts. So you'll see me at the summer festival and that kind of thing. And my fourth child is social media. You know, it's a passion because, and I bring that up because it's such a powerful tool for a nonprofit or community organization or small business. There is no other proven way to get to have the same sort of playing field that other large businesses, other large corporations have. And I taught this class once, well, twice. And but I wanted Bob. I thought Bob was such a valuable person to be here and present with me today because he owns a site called Spirituality and Health through, and he can tell you more about that, or tell me about who you are, and he'll go into more depth at the end.
Well, I'm the statewide spokesperson for Christian Science here in Michigan, and I work with the media and the legislature to have them help them have an accurate understanding of the practice that we have in Christian Science. And, so my focus really is on spirituality, and as a blogger, I'm focusing on how spirituality and consciousness benefit health. For example, today I put up a post on my blog about how you can take a vacation in a healthy way, since we're hitting summer tomorrow and officially. And for me, it's a time to be quiet at times. It's definitely a time to get away from work and the stress of work. And we just talked about that. So I've been blogging since 2010. And when you were telling us where you're at, I could really feel for all of you because it's definitely an ongoing learning experience. I found this Media Lab extremely helpful. I've been to quite a number of the workshops, and I've come in for one-on-one training with Michelle. And just keep adding your knowledge of tools. Pick up something else. Get on Twitter and see how you can use that, and then add another and add another. And the resources here are really invaluable, and it's free. I would really encourage you to avail yourself of that. So I've been through a lot of the learning curve. I'm still trying to add things. I want to put a Twitter blog roll on my blog, and I've struggled with that. Gordon, you were talking about technical issues. I mean, that's creating a widget and getting it set on the widget bar, and it's complicated. And Michelle sent me an email with some steps on that. I think you're going to do it. But, so be patient with the process. The fact that you're here, we're hopefully going to share a number of things that will get you thinking. I'm going to show you a number of tools later on in the workshop that will, I think, enhance the blogging experience. And I also brought a few books I found helpful, and the titles of those are on the sheet. But I think this will give you a lot of information in the workshop, so you can take the next few steps. And just again, be patient. It's an ongoing, growing situation, and but it's fun. It's a fun learning.
Yes, thank you. So, also you can transition from the newsletter to a blog format. We'll go over it in addition to what Bob has said. Protect you and your clients from embarrassment or poster child syndrome. So, want to make sure that, in your zeal, when you're doing good works, that you don't, use the same patient or client all the time or whatever. And also protect the privacy of students or clients. Use profiles and stories to engage current and prospective donor base. So, how many people are from nonprofits? I can't remember. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Pseudo.
So we may not do quite as much, but we'll see.
I'm sure.
So, first of all, what is social media? I always, want to start with this because it's funny because I say I'm social media marketing, and it never fails for somebody to say, "Oh, so you like to Facebook?" Like, no, I don't. I mean, I do, but I do a whole bunch more than that. So It's really, it's just communication, content, and community is how, the way I like to explain it. And a blog is just a form of that, okay? And it's just online. So when we talk about community, you want to, all of you have a community already. So shout out like 3 or 4 communities that you have.
Community services or?
No, your community. Like, so is it, the fellas you go out to hang with that you've known since college? Or is it, are you part of a Greek organization or a work,
Local technology clubs, something
local
like that.
tech clubs? Yeah, that's a good example.
Local meetup groups,
Meetup groups,
Church groups.
church groups.
that's good.
Rabbit sanctuary.
Yes, everybody is part of a rabbit sanctuary. Yeah. What else?
Local farms.
Local farms? Okay, but like she said, that there's things that you're a part of that we're kind of all probably a part of. Maybe we all have some sort of, family connections or, physical, like your community, the city you're in or your work. But like Michelle so graciously pointed out, some of you may have unique situations, unique communities, right? So whether there's rabbit sanctuaries, or maybe you're a closet seamstress, and so you have like a little quilting society that you meet up with. Whatever it is, those kind of, because I feel like I'm an artist in some ways, and so there is a level of synergy that, I don't want to get too weird, but there's a level of synergy that comes when you're like sharing your work, whether it's art or writing or music or whether it's Greeks, you kind of share personal information. So those people are behind you, right? So for you to say, I'm starting this blog or whatever, and you're reminding them, don't think of it as I am pushing myself on them. A lot of the people want to know, want to be a part of, what you're doing new. So one of the things that I think a lot of people go wrong is they think of my community, I have to find a community. Who am I going to friend online? And they just, friend any Tom, Dick, and Harry, but you want to be, think it kind of through. Who are your communities that are really behind you? So if you're an intrapreneur, like you're, maybe like Lindsay, who's working for a nonprofit but still has her own life probably, hopefully. So that might be, you want to tap into what the organization's communities are. So it may not be just who you're thinking. It may not be just people that are either donating or are kidney, are about kidney disease. You might also find connections with people that are just health conscious, or like the Bicycle Club of Ann Arbor, for instance. They have a bicycle coalition, which is a thought. They do a lot of things. They're involved in healthy eating and that kind of thing. Those are people that might want to read your blog. So
other community groups and other organizations that, that may possibly be a volunteer source, something like that?
Maybe a volunteer source, but we're talking about blogging. And so you want to focus on making your blog and making it good, but you also want to focus on who are you going to show it to? Who are you going to put it in front of? I've seen some really, really nice blogs, and there's no one looking at them because they haven't thought about who their audience is, right? So what I'm saying is, don't go on there blind, like I'm just going to find, it's so good, people are just going to Google me.
Sure.
That's not about to happen. It may, but it's probably not. You've got to think about who is your community before you set, because that will kind of guide. And even if you started a blog, it might guide the new direction. You kind of feel who your audience is. And so I've been blogging for a while. And what I noticed is I could tell when I was at my sweet spot when I started getting responses, whether it was by email or comments or, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, dozens of comments, but, you know, just valuable, comments or people seeing me and say, oh, let's go, or whatever, you know, I knew it was over when my pastor started calling me let's go instead of Leslie. I was like, uh-oh, you know, he's reading it. But that's kind of where you find your sweet spot. A good place to start is finding your community. So I want you to take like a minute and write down 5 places, 5 groups that will read your blog. Either the blog you have or the blog you want to start. Well, it looks like Gordon has dozens.
Yeah. Oh, so far.
I'm jealous. Anybody bold enough to share?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I have 3 potential blog subjects, but the one that I've been mentioning to Michelle was I've been blogging on customer service, what is called also customer experience, because it's more than just service, it's the whole thing. And from what I've gotten back in feedbacks, it has been from, well, I don't know where they all come from and how they get into it, you know, who knows. But one of the groups was marketing professionals who are trying to just check in on what's being discussed in terms of if they're doing a background on customer service or whatever. Another thing is a lot of companies have customer service departments and they're getting more information. Depending upon the subject in the blog, it might have to do with customer service, but the story that it's about may be altogether separate. For instance, my last blog, as I was mentioning, was on the Secretary of State's office. Probably pretty bad customer service experience there for anybody going in for any reason. And so anybody who might be looking up the Secretary of State as well as customer service. So there's 2 customers.
So I would just just very clearly, who are these people?
There are individuals that are in.
Where are you gonna tap into that? Where do you have a database or an email base? I mean, how are you gonna find these people?
Well, that's what I was thinking Twitter, LinkedIn.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I want to rewind that thinking here.
It's, again, I'm thinking Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter is good, but Twitter is not a place where you go. It is, but you have to have in mind who you want. So,
Well, that's where
first start
Okay.
with your soft. So, like, if you ever done sales,
Yes.
okay, what do they say do first? Start with your warm calls, right? Then go to your cold calls, not vice versa. So uses your warm community, and I'm so thankful for you for letting me pick on you first. But your warm community. So your warm community is. Can you think of 3 community groups that would love to see what Gordon is doing right now, or one?
Is there
A group.
an
Association of
in that
people.
industry?
A group of people. It doesn't have to be hundreds of people. It can be 10.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was just mentioning.
So like name a group of people. Like how did you know this group?
Well, all you have to do is Google marketing companies in Detroit, Metro
Those
Detroit,
are
you come up with
called-
about 35
But
different
people that you
companies.
know that know you.
No,
The number one benefit of blogging is transparency. And you can build that through starting with the people that know you and you know them. So, do you have a group, any group that you know or knows you? You can think about it. You don't have to answer that.
Well, I put on friends and family
Right.
as a group. I mean, these are people that I have professional friends and family members who are professional that maybe I could start with to blog about whatever I decide to blog about, which will obviously be where I work, and start there. So is that what you're thinking
Yes.
about?
but
So
if
that's-
you're gonna blog for a nonprofit,
Mm-hmm.
why would you start blogging about friends and family?
No,
No,
I'm not blogging
I
about
would push out to them.
who you're marketing it to. Who are you giving the blog to? Who are you sending
Sure.
emails and saying, hey, there's a new blog
Check my
post?
blog out.
Right.
That would be the
Okay.
people
Yeah,
I'd
that's
start
all I'm
with.
saying. Yeah.
Oh,
So it may be the fellas at the barber's shop.
And so then it would maybe be too, your friends on Facebook.
Yeah, it could be.
Because they, then have a tendency to share things that they find
Right.
interesting,
Right,
so.
right. Everybody's that your friend on Facebook is not your friend.
A lot of them we don't know.
Unless you don't accept that
Well, yeah.
confirm now button.
Oh, but if you got those mama arms, come on. You do like look at that. But yeah. So once you think about, Lindsay, can you think of one person or one group? If you don't want to answer, it's fine.
I have a couple different ideas, but I guess something that comes to mind would be people who have kidney disease or people who know someone with kidney disease. We actually, on our Facebook page, we did a survey once, and we found out that a majority of the people who like our page are actually family members or friends of people with kidney disease, not actual patients.
It's a good
Yeah.
example.
It's hard to support somebody. I have a family member right now who's telling Bob that she's got recently diagnosed with this really rare blood disorder. And she didn't know until she passed out. And the first thing, all of us, in the immediate family are like, what is this? I've never heard of, this. And so her mom, who's not anywhere in the medical field, she wrote out what the term was and just sent that out. She didn't give an explanation of, oh, they say this or that, paragraphs. She just wrote that out and said, this will give you more information. And that's the best thing she could have done because it informs family members of what she might be going through, how to support, why you need to call before you come over. She needs a minute, all that kind of thing. So yeah, so thinking about that. So I would encourage you to continue this thought process of who your community is. And this is from someone who has tried it, going out and just try to find people versus actually having some people that are diehard Leslie fans. There's a couple. Not a lot. I don't have thousands, but I have a couple people that if I put something out, I can look and 5 minutes later they're retweeting me. Or you know what I mean? That's who you want in your corner, when you're blogging.
A quick example on that, when I started on Twitter, I created a Twitter account. I have no followers, right? It's new. It's like, I have no audience. Like, who am I sharing with on Twitter? No one. Really.
Right.
So it makes you think this through and, where's your audience? Where are your friends? Where's your community? And then how do you find them and connect?
Yeah. The next thing is communication. So, what do you have to say? How often? To whom? So, like you were mentioning customer service, for example. There's all sorts of things about customer service out there, but you have a unique, kind of way that you want to talk about customer service, right? So think about what exactly you have to say, and it can't be like, or you have to kind of think it through. So if it's only events, that would get boring. People don't follow blogs to just hear about your events. That's not gonna like, if it's between, they're in a hurry in the mornings. People have, so just for example, from the beginning of time to 1972, think about all the information that was shared. That same amount of information is shared every 2 days worldwide web now. So your competitors is just other information that's out there. But you have something to say still, right? You are, whatever you're doing is unique and special. So, but you need to think of a way that you can continuously think of something unique and special to say on a regular basis. And how often. So, Bob and I debate. No, we don't. But it is better. Bob does 3 times a week.
I'm kind of 2 times a week right now.
Oh, my bad. 2 times.
Started at 3, I couldn't sustain it, I dropped to like once a week,
Mhm.
and that's really not enough. Back up to
Mhm.
twice a week on average. Yeah, I mean, for blogging ideally, for building the audience and keeping the audience, you want to be regular and somewhat frequent. If a person comes back to your blog twice a week for a month and they see the same article every single time, they'll stop coming. Probably. I mean, you would too, right?
Right.
I know when I started, Bob, what I did is I started out with a schedule and I put it like on a schedule.
Oh.
So I scheduled the week out for myself as to what,
Yeah.
what times I was going to blog on different sites and that type of thing.
Yeah, I have
Because
one of those.
When you get sidetracked, there's,
Yeah.
by other things,
All of a sudden it's
you
been
have to
10
have
days.
something to go back to
Yeah.
in order, to get back on your plan.
That's a good point. I know I keep a schedule, like on what site I'm supposed to post. I always don't like religiously get it out there that particular day, but I know like I'm still stressed out because I didn't do my Wednesday blog. Like I know that Wednesday, I haven't advertised it like come back every Wednesday. I haven't said that, but for me, I have a calendar. I know what I'm supposed to be doing on Wednesday, right?
Do you change your places? In other words, where you actually do the blog? I find that helps also. Change, in other words, your surroundings and so
Oh,
forth.
yeah.
Change, obviously now with outdoors a great time to be outdoors, a break.
I'm old school, so I still write with a pen.
What's that?
Well, that's
Yes.
Huh? What do you
So you do that for the just creative.
Yeah, in other words, sometimes if I turn it into something of a labor, something of, something that I have to do, and not something that I'm really passionate about doing, then it becomes
It's something that
becomes a
labor.
drag.
Right.
But if I turn that passion and say, hey, I'm gonna go down to local networking and, talk to a few people, and I'm gonna do my blog and so forth, and then go to lunch outside, and then maybe have lunch, but I'm gonna finish my blog in a certain time.
I
find that
yeah.
helps.
Well, I mean, I tell my mom, same place, same idea. She's like, why are you going there? Like, for
Yeah.
her, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
She'll ask me questions about where are you today, and
Does that help you?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I have to, well, especially because I spent a lot of time in a regular work setting, like at a higher ed, actually, WCMN, U of M, and it's very different, because you have people there, and you can talk to coworkers, and, you can, go to the snack room. I'm there at the 4 walls, it's different, and it's not boring because I have a lot to do, but it's boring because it's the
It's
same.
stimulating.
It's not stimulating. It's the same bricks. So I go to different places to work, and I find that works. Otherwise, I get stagnant, or same place, same ideas. That's what I just tell myself.
What I find really unique too, I hope I'm not taking too
Oh
much.
no, okay. Look, and now I have to hear what you said. What are you gonna say now?
After you finish your blog, do you ever have somebody read it? Read it meaning an actual
Read it?
person.
Oh.
You know what I mean, that's maybe,
Like an edit process?
well, what I'm saying is, not like an online process, you know?
I know
Like
what you
I
mean.
was at
Yeah.
Panera, and I wrote this blog, and I knew this guy came in, he was in my golf league, said, can you take 10 minutes and read it? He read it, he said, here, change this and this, and I like this a little better, this way, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't do that too much,
Well,
once in a
I
while.
used to do that, and it's, you know, of course, merit to doing that, but, that's just another added process
Mhm.
for me, and I don't have the time to do that. But what I do is, I have had,
Is it
People-
negative? Is it negative to do it?
no, it's not negative or positive, I mean,
I do that.
yeah,
I have,
he does
I
that.
have another set of eyes look over most of what I write. And it does lengthen the process. You
Mhm.
can't just sit down, pop one off in an hour and publish it. You're at the mercy of someone else's schedule. So you have to think ahead a little more. But
What I do is I step away.
Yeah.
And let it
Yeah, that's good.
marinate.
Yeah, I like
Well,
that,
'cause
I like that.
I'm a true,
Absolutely.
like, creative person at night,
Yeah.
straight laced
Yeah,
thinker in the morning,
Because
so I write it
sometimes,
at
a
night.
couple hours later, something doesn't make sense.
yeah,
And the other thing I do is I read it out loud.
that's perfect.
Because-
Oh, yeah,
How much reading
Okay.
does it take to read
Great
400
idea.
words, right?
that's,
So
yeah.
read it out loud, and if it doesn't make sense out loud, it's not gonna
Yeah.
make sense.
If it doesn't flow well, you find out.
But
Great
then,
idea.
but,
Great
okay, but
Great
no,
idea.
those are all great ideas,
Yeah.
but when we're talking about communication, that's good, but when you say, what do you have to say and to whom? You also wanna think about, not that it looks good to your buddy or whomever, you wanna think it looks good to someone from your audience.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, when I, did it more often, I still have to do it for the paid blogging, like I have an editor and stuff, but I find people that are genuinely interested or, would be part of that audience. Okay, so just because someone is really good, a grammar person, a grammar Nazi, that might be fine to look for those kind of errors, but you want someone that is, like if you're saying a kidney, a friend of a kidney, ask them, did this really help you? Was this article helpful? Was this blog something that helps you support your loved one? Because if it doesn't serve them, it's no good. Doesn't matter how well written and what kind of grammar and, things you use and what pretty pictures you use. If it doesn't help or provide value to your intended audience, it's garbage.
So we look at it as terms of resources, right?
Yes.
So as we're promoting ourselves, are we looking at ourselves as a resource? And if we always look at ourselves as a resource, then that's the way I try and approach it.
Well, and in
As a
terms
resource
of
that
where
I'm
we are
giving
today,
information away rather than, even though
we're in a giving society right now.
yeah,
Yeah, the best way to get is to give.
absolutely.
One of the things that I've noticed, because I'm not blogging, but one of the things that I've noticed that appeals to me, because you've talked about that if you don't blog with regularity, you'll lose your audience, and I think that is true, because there's been a number of bloggers that I've followed that I go back, hit that link on my task, or up on my bar, and it's the same article I read, a couple months ago,
Right.
So, but one of the things that I've just by watching bloggers that I find interesting is sometimes they don't always write an article, but they might share. I think the kids call them not a meme, but a picture
Mhm.
that
That
says
is a meme.
something, and then they make some kind of like comment about it, something short, but it makes it. It has to, I'm guessing, make it so much easier to follow up with having a new post.
Yeah.
So like, let's say they want to post 3 times a week. They have one article that is super duper informative, but then they have other things that are encouraging to people that are part of their audience.
So when you build your calendar, that all is stuff that you kind of,
Yeah.
think about.
Yeah.
So,
I do that exact thing.
yeah.
I try to have one original full piece a week.
Uh-huh,
and then one or two other are more, they're shorter.
uh-huh,
They're what I call a share.
Yeah.
You know,
Kind of like a
I've done
newspaper.
ones where it's like, in
Right.
the news, here's 3 articles that talked about prayer this month in the news.
Yeah.
And links to
So,
them. And
so this brings me back to, what do you think is a blog? Let me real quick, I mean, what's your, you know, a blog, what do you think?
Well, what it is or what it should be.
What it is, or what do you think of,
I
when you
mean,
think of a blog?
I have run into blogs, I have a lady friend that I love to pieces, but she just has a blog because she likes to talk incessantly, and there really isn't anything informative about it. Like, okay, but
But
I
what do
think
you
a
think
blog,
of,
a blog should be something that informs and maybe inspires and, you know, like has some benefit to audience members.
so you don't have to have, length is not a determining factor for informing or inspiring, you know, right? So in fact, the most successful, like, the most read blogs are between 250 and 600 words. That's
a
pretty
little
short.
later, I'm gonna show you a few examples,
Mhm.
just visually, so you can see in terms of length and some other things, how to make it easy to read or make it hard to read.
That's how much attention you have. After 600 words, when you make, if you're really good, you might get a, you know, extra paragraph out of somebody. But if you start posting, you know, essays, you can just, you know, you lose people's attention. Also, content, when we're talking about, remember this is community, so even if you're here on behalf of a business, you're trying to build your community around here, right? Because they're eventually gonna be customers. So content, the first thing, there's 3 things to remember. One is respect. So part of the reason that, you know, like I said, I'm stressed out because I didn't, you know, finish up or, you know, keep consistent, is that's respecting your reader, right? But also you want to respect your readers in a way that, you know your audience. For some people, it's okay to, you know, use expletives or, you know, real risque kind of things. That's like your claim to fame. But if that's not your audience, you need to, you know, kind of think that through. Not so it's sterile, you know, still want to be authentic, but, you know, think about your audience so you don't offend them. Also engage, and so, not everyone feels comfortable putting comments on a blog. So sometimes it's hard to know who's engaging. If you, depending on what you use, most blogging sites, well, all blogging sites, have some sort of analytics, right? And you can see the click-through rate. And if you use Google, there's actually, you can, for free, set up a Google Analytics account where you can not only see who's seeing your blog, but how long the stick rate is, like how
I'm
long
gonna
it's
show
staying
you
on the page.
some of that a little bit here.
Yeah, so you wanna make sure that, you know, people are engaged. That's one way to see it. Also, there's a little map that you can see on, you know, on WordPress and on Google Blogger, where you can see where people are looking. So what blogging platforms do you guys use? WordPress? WordPress?
I don't use them.
So to WordPress, no Google Blogger, no Tumblr, no LiveJournal.
Somebody told us that it was the easiest.
You told them WordPress was the easiest?
I like WordPress, but I also have Tumblr and Blogger.
Okay.
Copy blogger.
I like WordPress too.
I use copy blogger.
Copy Blogger? Okay. Well, I would say, you know, look around and you can even try one out. You can try one out. So that's what I did with, because I have them all too. So I have a WordPress that I'm part of a group. I have 2 Google Bloggers. I have a Tumblr. I have a LiveJournal. You know what I mean? So, and Twitter really is a blog. It's called a microblog. Yes.
Do you know anything about what platform happens to be the most well-read or has the most users?
Yeah, WordPress has the most users, it's the most read. And
Just
then,
celebrated 10
Well, those are
years.
two things, though, I mean, you don't really care how many users of it there are.
yeah, it's the
You're
most,
interested in the audience.
Yeah, I mean, I'd want to target somebody who, if I had any way of knowing,
Actu-
like, had a lot of our target audience.
it's WordPress, then believe it or not, it's Wiki. Wiki blogs, then Google Blogger,
So WikiHow.
Wiki our community, like
Yeah,
where
I
you,
know that.
yeah, where you come together on a
A
subject.
little harder.
It's harder, but
A little
it,
harder to communicate on.
but they're most people read them. So
People
they're
read
most,
them,
yeah.
they're good for, I mean, they have great content and they have great resources. And they're good for short comments. I mean, that's what I found.
Right.
It's a little less dialogue, isn't it?
Yeah, less
Yeah.
dialogue, and Wiki makes it a little harder on you
So
for
it's
some reason.
so I had a top 10 list. I can remember the top 4. It's like I said, it's WordPress, then Wiki, then Google Blogger, then Flickr blog.
Flickr.
Flickr blog. Flickr has a blog component, and you know you get a lot of people that have real media-rich content. And then Tumblr is farther down on the list, but it's one of the highest advancing ones. Like it's increasing with the most speed.
How about other sites other than Facebook, like Social Adair?
Oh, we're gonna get to that in a minute. But right now we're just talking about the blogging platforms.
You know,
Yeah. So Facebook is not really a blogging platform. It's not, even though people use
No.
it like one.
no, I understand that.
Yeah.
But
And-
other social sites.
Yeah, we'll go into that in a minute when we talk about broadcast. And remember, so still in the context of community organizations and nonprofits, remembering a lot of times you'll have donors that will like to kind of relive the old days. Do you ever have those board reunions and stuff? I'm part of a board, and it's so funny. Like people, doesn't matter how old they are, when they get to talking, it's like they are reliving 1965 or whatever it is, you know, like they're into it. So that's a real good way to kind of reach your donor base, is to kind of relive the old days and remind people of how your nonprofit got started. You know?
The newspapers in their community engagement programs are focusing on that too more, bringing up the historical stuff from the community and finding that they get a lot more attention when they do that.
Yeah. You know, it's just like the family reunions, you know, people start reliving the big fish they got, whatever
That's a
it
great
is.
idea.
Huh?
That's a great.
So I'm gonna get back to how to broadcast, but right now I want Bob to talk more about how to strengthen your message, and he's gonna use his blog as a case study for how he went from a good blog, but to a great blog.
I'm gonna drop this out here for a second. Okay. First, I just thought I'd show you what my blog looks like. This is a WordPress blog. You can see here, right up here, I have multiple tabs, so you can add pages. That's one of the things I like about WordPress. I would assume Blogger has that too. But the home page for me is the blog page where I'm posting regular content. Most sites will have a bio page or how to contact them. I offer links to some related blogs. I also offer links, some legislative links, some media links, some links through my church, things like that. I have a tab for studies and statistics because I I often will include a study. You see on this article here, right here, I did include a reference to a study. And some of those I've actually stored kind of permanently on the site for people to see. I found people actually quite interested in that. Come back to that. We're talking about length and frequency of posting. Here's an example of, this is what I call a share post, really. This is really based on another article that was published online. What you see on the screen is an entire blog post, so it's very short. It's about 200 words. I mean, just look at that visually. It looks really easy to digest, doesn't it, as a reader? So that's, I think, a good example. Here I wanted to show you, again, seeing it really makes a difference. I took one of my posts from a couple months ago, and I've created a few draft versions of it, formatted differently, just to give you some visuals on this. A couple years ago, I came across a blog post on the web, and the whole thing was one paragraph. And it was, I mean, everything in you says, I don't want to finish reading this. So here's an example. This post of mine was over 700 words, and here's what it looks like as one paragraph. You can see it's not very inviting. So then I redid this and created paragraphs. So I recommend, have short paragraphs. Break it into paragraphs, basically 1 point in a paragraph. And even 1 sentence paragraphs. Also, think in terms of the trends. Things are moving towards mobile more with smartphones and tablets, and even smaller screens. So you really do want to be brief, I think. But if you look at this one, all I've done here is break it up into paragraphs. And look how much more appealing it is to the eye. And here's even a 1 sentence paragraph. Another 1 sentence paragraph. Really broken it up, okay? But now I have a lot of paragraphs, and so that's still a little taxing on the reader. So the next thing I did was I added 3 bold headings, section headings. Here's the first one, treating the whole person. And so it just puts it into more digestible chunks for the reader. Plus they know what the focus of the section is, so I keep their thought focused. Here's what I'm saying. I don't bury them with a ton of words. So you can see I have 3 sections. This makes it much more palatable, I think. And then here was the actual article, the way I published it, and for some reason the picture isn't coming through. I'm in the habit of always adding a picture. I think it's good to do that. For a while I was posting without pictures, and then I was actually linking mine through on Facebook. And so I was getting these Facebook posts without a picture, which doesn't look very good. You really do want a picture in Facebook. And the more I've thought about it, and I'm on other social media now, if you think of like Twitter, if you look at a Twitter feed, every entry comes with the profile picture of the sender. If you look at Facebook, it's a picture and an introductory piece of the post with a link, right? I mean, this is kind of where we're at today. So I would encourage you to try to get a picture most of the time, if not all the time. I use a site called glowimages.com. There are others, there's iStock. I use Glow Images. I have it as a paid subscription. That way I make sure I'm clear on copyright issues. I know Michelle has recommended Flickr. If you use Flickr, if you go into the advanced search, you can then click on a box that says your common license. What's it called?
Creative
Commons license. So if you use Flickr, I'd suggest that you go into advanced search and click that. You can actually click photos only and the Creative Commons license, and that will narrow the search results to the ones you really want to be pulling from.
And you can decide whether you can say that it's for to use to share or to use for commercial purposes. So like I said, I do paid blogging, or if you monetize your blog in any way, you want to make sure that you make it clear to the photographer that you plan to put it on a monetized blog.
And I always give attribution in the caption.
Is there a certain file that those photos have to be?
A file?
Format?
Oh, format?
Formatted size, how many JPEG, what is the pixels that it can have in it?
You don't have to worry
It's a
about
On
JPEG.
Glow Images, they're really good about it because they offer most pictures in like 6 sizes. And the last 2 is like web large and web small. And I take the web small, which is usually about 1.5 inches square, which is perfect. But when it moves over to like Facebook and stuff, they format that. Although sometimes they crop it.
Well, I experienced when I was trying to upload a photo of myself, it said it wouldn't take the photo. And
If
I
it's
was
too
thinking it had to
small.
do with, what
Was
size
it
was it?
JPEG?
Too big.
Because sometimes
Oh, yeah.
It was JPEG.
Hold
If you
on,
bring
hold
them
on. Are
across,
we
it
talking
covers
about
too.
you're talking about Facebook or you're talking about a blog?
I'm talking,
To the-
I'm
you
talking about blog.
You talking about the blog, which are your WordPress that wouldn't take it?
Must have been really big.
Mm.
Yeah, I've loaded like close to 1 meg pictures, tried to upload them, and it hangs uploading them.
I was thinking it had more to do with dimensions. Because if something is, okay, if you take a camera
I
shot
understand.
sideways as
Well, it has a
opposed to this
feature for
way,
rotation.
Yeah, I know, but,
It still wouldn't, it wouldn't up,
or
I
if
know
you
what
go
you
in and you kind of tweak the photo and resize it, does that suddenly throw it off? And I'm wondering, because I've been
There's a-
rejected on those.
There's a program called Avatar. that-
Yeah.
Avatar you can download and then it'll make sure the correct size and everything is
Oh,
for the
okay.
blog.
Or you
and
can also do that with Google Picasa.
for the blog and for your Facebook.
I've done it in iPhoto.
Oh, I don't have, I'm not a
Right,
Mac,
Avatar
but
Crop it down and size it.
It will,
Google
automatically
Picasa is free, you just download it from Google. But yeah, that's weird, now I wanna I'm curious, see what.
Maybe I'm just having issues with that software.
Yeah.
So, again, I have these points on the sheet for you, but I think it's better to have shorter, more frequent posts and have each post have one main primary focus. And then within the post, do the same thing, kind of stay to the point, what you're doing.
shortest and frequent posts now. How many?
What I'm saying is
do you
like,
recommend
Consistent.
I think it would be better to post Monday, Wednesday, and Friday a 300-word post than every Monday a 1,500-word post.
Oh, yeah, sure.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
understand. Sure.
Wanted to show you some of the other tools that I use that just kind of help you figure out where you want to take your blog further. I use Google Analytics. There's a plugin in WordPress. Takes a little doing to set it up, and they can help you here in the Media Lab, but it has a ton of helpful information. Just cover a few things to show you. You get this up here, the graph. It's showing the views on the calendar. And the way I use that to help me is, I know what I'm posting on what dates. For me, I'm asking myself, what did I post right here
Yeah.
versus what did I post right here? Okay? Because whatever was here and over here did better with my audience. I got a lot more viewership. And I've, over time, you can spread this out over a month or a year even, but you can start to see, what days are working better than other days.
Okay.
What subjects are working better. I did a post, for example, about placebos the day after 60 Minutes did a story on it. That one did a lot better.
Yeah.
And I could see that it did better in this graph, and then I could, you're kind of guessing why, but that's probably why. There's some other things that it shows you. Let's see if it's up here. I'll have to go back one, but first what I brought up, you can see this list right here. It gives you this sort of list of the traffic. These are the referrals that I've pulled up. I'm on the community blogs of the 21st Century Media newspapers that Michelle oversees. And so they bring traffic to my blog. What's interesting to me here is this always happens. Look at Facebook's number 2. Facebook is always in the top few for me. I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook. I maybe post once or twice for my own blog pieces on Facebook. And out of that effort, it's still one of the top sources of my traffic. And I think it's pure numbers. A couple months ago, the Open Press did an online survey of their readers. And one of the things they came back with is how many said they use Twitter and how many use Facebook. And I was actually, when I heard they were doing that, I was interested to see what those numbers were. 47% said they use Twitter, which I thought was really good, about half. 100% said they are on Facebook.
There are 1 billion users.
Yeah, in fact, I found an article this week that said right now, social media, I think that's not just Facebook, but the whole concept, that would be Twitter and Facebook and other things. The social media world now is reaching 1.73 billion, and they project 4 years out it to be over 2.5 billion. It's just pure numbers, I think. You know, you just, your friends will see it, they'll share it, they'll share it, they'll share it, and pretty soon you've reached a lot of people. You can see here Voice News, that's one of the newspapers where I'm on the community blog. And it's interesting to see who carries you.
Bob, may I
Yeah.
ask? I've got your website up here.
Mhm.
What are you on WordPress or what are you on?
I use WordPress.
And that's what this is brought to us through is WordPress.
Yeah, he's on
Yeah.
paid WordPress. That's why he
Yeah,
got
there's-
his own domain name.
Yeah, I pay to have a domain,
Uh-huh.
and then I use WordPress software.
It looks good, really good.
Oh, thank you. I actually slimmed it down. It was real busy. I had like 3 more tabs, and I had a lot more on the right, and I just felt it was too busy, so I just, it's hard to do sometimes, but it's like throw that out, throw that out, throw that. And I tried to simplify it a little bit.
And when you say paid domain, they
So-
really are pretty cheap. You
They're
can-
pretty
Yeah.
cheap. Like WordPress is around $13 a year, and then Blogger is $10 a year. Like the True Story Success I have on my card, that blog is powered by Blogger, and it's cost me $10 a year.
I'm on Bluehost, and I pay a little over 100.
Okay. You get that's better SEO.
But I've
too.
gone, and I've gone to them for support, free support, tech support, and they've been very helpful, and I've been real happy with them.
You said Bluehost.
Bluehost. It's
I used to
bluehost.com.
Bluehost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bluehost and HostGator.
Another thing you get on the analytics, we're doing here is you get page views, how many times people are pulling up one page of your blog, how many visitors, because you know one visitor might read 3 pages, how long they're there, the duration, and a thing called bounce rate, which is ones that show up and leave real quick. I think it's like in 10 seconds. And those numbers, you have to take it with a grain of salt. For example, a newspaper article that will have you go click through next page, next page, next page to look at a 3-part article. That's 3 page views, not even though it's 1 article. So page views is you have to take it with a grain of salt. But what you want to look for is it increasing? So I'm looking for have my page views, are they going up, and is my duration going up, and is the bounce rate going down? Are more people coming, opening more pages, and staying longer? That's really what I'm interested in. And so you kind of got to take a snapshot, and then a month later look at it again, and do that, and kind of look at the trends, and that's very helpful.
Excuse me, I have just a question or comment or observation.
Yeah.
When you use trends or tracking like this, are you more inclined to write to the audience rather than the information you need to push out? I mean, if you're just writing popular stuff that people are going to read, then you're only covering a small amount
I
of
know
the
what you're saying.
topic you
It's,
need to,
yeah.
you
Instead of
want to get
satisfying
out
the
there.
measure, stick with your, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, for me, again, I go through an edit process, and I have to stay. That focus is already built in to my process. So this is an additional layer for me. It doesn't pull me away from the other, but I know what you're saying.
And I still remind people and encourage you to go through the steps. It's finding your community first, You know what I mean? Like reaching out to them, like getting that together and getting your communication, deciding how often you can do it, what are you gonna say and to whom. Then the content, and this, now he's bringing the content, this is how to strengthen the content.
Yeah.
But the content doesn't supersede the other steps in the equation. If you're just trying to chase the dog, that's why you see all those LOL cats everywhere. LOL cats are the grumpy cat that says, the memes that have the grumpy cat saying this or that, like I hate Mondays or whatever. Those are popular, but it only gives you views for one time and then they're gone. So this is, what Bob is showing you is to help strengthen, like even within your, after you find your community, strengthen it within them, but don't use it as.
You can do things like, I can look at a month where I posted once a week and another month where I posted 3 times a week. And if I see a lot more audience, I've learned something. I need to be more frequent. If I'm writing really long pieces and getting, the duration is not, 10 seconds, and then I say, you know what, let's go down to 500 words, and then that improves. I'm learning from the statistics how to write better for my audience, the way they want to receive it. It's not to make me change what I'm writing, but to improve what I am writing.
Well, I think my question too is all around content. I mean, if you are writing something that is topical and trendy, but then is sort of outside of the big picture, and you just focus on that one trendy topic in all your posts because you're drawing more audience, are you negating your effectiveness for your
That's
purpose?
wrong.
I mean,
Yeah,
to
that's
me,
I don't drive it
that's-
that way.
Okay.
My goal is not to have better analytics.
Okay.
I'm just using analytics to write better to my audience. Because there are things to learn. If I'm actually reaching no one, I'd like to know that.
Mhm.
For some, I mean, if this was a different class, like if this was for, how to get people because you're trying to get customers in and blah, blah, blah. Or you're trying to sell ads on a page, it may be a different conversation. But this is nonprofits, community organizations, small businesses, you want authenticity. That's the quickest way to lose people if they think you're being fake.
And you're gonna write stuff that's just information on your organization, and you need to share it, and they do want it, and you may not get great analytics on it, but that's kind of irrelevant, I think. Because you're trying to share your message. But if what you find is that the way you're sharing it, nobody's reading past the first 3 lines, then you may wanna change your approach, break it up into multiple posts in the week, or something. One of the things you see here is pie charts. They show you quite a bit, where the traffic comes from. I've seen I get a fair amount from Google searches, just plain, right from scratch searches, which I find helpful. I was trying to find the dashboard on here. There it is. They give you a geographic. Here we go. And you can see, you can pull up a lot of things here. But here's the one I like, is the graphic one. That pulls up.
Obviously, that you seem to be getting from mostly English-speaking people.
Yeah, but look what I have here. Australia, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, India, Saudi Arabia. Now, if you drill down, you can get the actual bounce rates by country. And I find Indonesia, they didn't stick around. 2 people got on and they were gone instantly. They bounced. So, and I'm
And if
mainly
you
writing to Michigan, so I don't really worry about that too
Yeah.
much. But
If you see a lot of people that speak another language that is beside, for some reason I had a lot of people that were Dutch speaking, so I have a translator on there, just put a translator up. So if they're coming anyways, they can just click on it and quickly translate it.
But anyway, you can just see who you're, a lot of information about who you're reaching, and I find that helpful. I've learned a number of things. If I was trying to reach a worldwide audience, I would probably be thinking in terms of tweeting in the different time zones. I'm really trying to reach mainly the Michigan audience, so I don't really focus on that. But if that was an issue, then I would. If you're a national organization with a national scope, you want to think about the California time zone. You can tweet out to them at, our 11:30, because that's their early evening. But if that's not an issue for you, we'll do that.
The best times for blog in the Midwest is between 10 and 3 p.m. So, and that's compliments of Skyward, which is who hires me to do the paid blog, and they do, they have money to do all this little statistics. And the latest is between 10 and 3 is the best times for people who read blogs. Between 10 and 3.
So try and have it posted by 9 or 9:30,
Mm-hmm.
or it's a day old
Mm-hmm.
for your audience already, for a lot of them.
So you say push the button.
Yeah, like the one I had go up today, I finished it yesterday, and I actually scheduled it to go up about 9 a.m. this morning. And that way, if I get phone calls, get busy, I don't miss out on that. You can do the same thing with Twitter. I'll show you here in a second. Just some additional social media tools that are additional things to go with the blogging, but help you, I think, expand your community and deliver your message to your community. I'm a big fan of Twitter, and you can see here, I don't have a ton of followers, but my followers are people who they're sticking around and they do seem to be interested. And I'm pretty prolific. I have quite a few tweets. I've been on Twitter
Yes,
for,
so,
yeah,
3,000.
yeah. I probably do 10 or 20 tweets a day on
Oh
average.
my gosh.
Yeah. A lot of that's just sharing different things. It's not just sharing my own.
Everything you say, you should say 3 to 5 times on Twitter. At different
So,
times during the
Here's
day.
another, what you're doing, just in case you don't know what Twitter is about, it's 140 characters a post. And what you're usually doing is sending something, a little description and a link. And here's this top one right here. This was my blog post this morning. This is actually the title of it. And then I have a bit.ly link. I'll show you that in a second. You can just take the URL from your blog post and paste it in, but it's going to be long. Bit.ly is one way to do a short link. There's others like TinyURL. But what I like about Bit.ly is that they have their own analytics, and I can see who's clicking the links from my tweets. And I like to know that too. And hashtags, you'll learn that later, I'm sure. Twitter, you just got to dig in, start following people, share what they post, and pretty soon you'll pick up followers, and you can encourage people already in your community that read your blog to follow you on Twitter. It takes time to grow the community.
Oh, thank you. I'm bored. You made the owl get bored.
Hootsuite is another tool you can use to schedule tweets, and I actually did that last night. You would go up here to compose your tweet. It's not working. Seem to be frozen. But you go up here in the compose message, and you would then click the scheduling button. It has a timer on it, and you can pick the date and the time for it to post. And if you put the tweet into the clipboard, you can paste it in, schedule it, paste it again, schedule it for 10 a.m., schedule it for 3, schedule it for 6 p.m.
So you retweet the same thing 3 times?
Not
Sometimes,
word for word. You can't. It'll stop you.
yeah, it blocks a
But
duplicate.
so if you're tweeting the same blog post one time, you want to do something like, hey, fresh on the blog, maybe is one time. Then later in the day, like, did you always wonder what I have in common with a brick wall? Same link, just framed differently. Then maybe later that night you say, find out the newest statistic, or find out a new statistic on spirituality.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
And Twitter, you might have the situation where
I haven't seen that with people I follow.
you send a tweet out at 10 a.m. Some people may just look at Twitter, when they get home from work, and they don't reach back 8 hours.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's the case. I look at Twitter periodically. I pretty much catch the whole feed, but I don't think everyone does
The
that.
lifespan of a tweet is 5 minutes.
I don't usually actually tweet mine 3 times a day. I do it once, sometimes twice.
And how often, you said a few minutes ago how often that should be done. When you've got a new blog post, how often should you do it a day?
3 to 5 times.
The
3 to 5
tweets,
times.
I mean, yeah. 3 to
5
5 times.
sounds a lot to me, but you'll find out what works.
Yeah.
If
That's
you
a
use,
good-
you use Bitly, do it for a month, 5 times a day, and see what that does to you. Then try it twice a day, or vice versa.
I have a question.
Yeah.
All right, you have a blog site address. When it goes over to Twitter and someone says, hey, check this out, and it's going to a blog site, it's a different coding.
Oh, yeah, so you wanna bring them to your actual, the address for that particular blog post,
Right.
not for the site.
So for instance,
Right.
I'm Gordon Thorsby, blogspot.com, but that's not what you put into Twitter.
No,
Here.
you wanna give them the actual, like,
Yeah.
look inside of your, like, copy and paste that actual,
Yeah.
you know, full thing, or use Bitly, like he explained.
Here, let me show you here. Here's my blog, and up here is the URL for this post. This is not my homepage. This is this post.
Right.
So I
That's
would-
not what goes into Twitter.
That is.
This is.
You don't just see his actual
So I would
URL.
pick this up. Let me do it. I'll pick it up, and I'll go into Twitter, and I could come into.
You can't because you're not signed in.
I am signed in. Where's my? Oh, I'm not signed in. You're right. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
okay.
it says right there,
Yeah.
so.
So if I'm in it, I would put. You could either paste it here, like that. You put the whole URL in the tweet. Or what I do first is I go into Bitly, and I paste it into Bitly right here. And it creates this little link down here, which is much shorter.
That's what that is.
And then I click copy, and then I go back into Twitter, and instead of the long one, I would paste the little Bitly link, and then I could say, you know, taking a vacation this summer, and then tweet that.
It's a Bitly.
It's a Bitly link,
Bitly.
using
You-
bitly.com for a short link.
You don't have.
You don't have to
you
do
don't
that?
have to do that.
It's
don't
an
have to
extra
do
It'll
that.
layer.
give you
But everybody
number of
does.
pages. Yeah, because you get analytics with it. You'll know how many people
Yeah.
clicked on that particular link that you shared on Twitter or Facebook.
Now, did you say Bitly was free or,
Yes.
It is.
okay,
You can,
You don't even have to create an account, but if you want analytics for your posts, you have to create an account.
okay.
So it's a
So
user
you set
interface.
yourself up, and how do you tie Bitly into your blog?
Okay, you grab the URL, and you paste it into the Bitly bar, and then you copy into the clipboard the link it created instead of the URL from your blog. And it's
Okay.
just a link to a link is all it is.
Okay.
That gets you back, when they click your tweet link, they go to your blog article, which is what you wanted.
You wanna show them again?
Yeah, why don't I go ahead and go through it here. I should log into Twitter.
Yeah.
See if this works.
And the real advantage is Bitly's fewer characters.
It leaves you more room for the English also. Although Twitter's been abbreviating long links with ... so it's less of an issue than it used to be. Let's see if I
And you can use Twitter
see if
longer.
I can remember my password here.
I was always wondering what that CCZ// exclamation J.
Yeah, it's just
HG,
a little code,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it gets you there.
I'm not gonna remember my password. I always have trouble with, I have so many passwords.
I
If
know
you
what you
can't,
mean.
you want
I
me to
can't
log in
remember.
and you
Can
can,
we
you
go
can put
into
from
yours?
mine.
Yeah. Just go into yours real quick. Show them how to tweet it.
Okay.
There's nothing like actually seeing the steps. And once you've done it a few times, I mean, I have multiple tabs and I just go click, 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 boom, off goes the tweet. It's really easy. Of course, we won't see.
You're logged in now,
Aren't I
aren't
in?
you?
Yeah, it's that's you.
But that's not, I'm not logged in.
Yeah, it's just, it's gonna go back to the
Yeah.
same page, but this
Yeah.
is. So this is my profile page, yeah, you can do it
Okay.
from here.
So I'll be tweeting my stuff out as screen. Should just- So here's this article, my blog post, okay? This is not my homepage, which is just csnmichigan.com. This is one of the blog posts. And on WordPress, when you put a post up, it is on the homepage. You want to click the title. In fact, let me back up so you can see what I'm talking about here. Let me go to the homepage of my blog. Okay, so here's this post of mine that was this morning. Okay, so if I grab this URL, that's just to my blog, not to this article. So what you want to do is click on the title and it drills down to just that post. Now this is the actual URL to that particular blog post. So I put it in the clipboard with Control C. Now I'm going to go over to Bitly, and I paste a link here. I'm going to Control V, paste it, and I did this morning, so it's already there, but normally this would be a new one. So then you click this button right here, copy, and that puts the Bitly link in the clipboard instead of the URL from your post. So now I go into Twitter, and I'm going to write a new message, okay?
I learned something today.
So, good.
Just one thing.
And then I Control V here, it drops the Bitly link in. Instead of, remember my URL for the article was about 60 characters. And I got lots of room, I still have 56 characters, but then that would be what I tweet.
Why don't you say, from my bud Bob, or something like that, since, you
Yeah.
know, it's going to my followers.
Who's not on the keyboard today? Usually in Twitter you use the
The
mention.
@ symbol will mention that person, so that way it'll be mentioned so people can see it, his followers can see it as well as mine.
Oh, good.
Mhm.
I screwed that up, so I'm going to drop the Bitly link again here. So there's a tweet, and I had more room for it. This is a mention, and I did type that right in.
And if you throw in like Heritage News, for instance, that's a Twitter handle for our papers. The editor might see it and then retweet it as well, because it'll come to their attention if you use the mention sign.
Do you do that with a hashtag or an ad?
An ad.
Yeah, at sign and mention.
Finish this part and then
Yeah.
we'll go over it.
The mention with the @ sign forces this into that user's Twitter feed, whether they're a follower or viewer or not. So that's another way to build community, and I use that regularly. I want Michelle to see what I'm doing. I'll put her handle in here and let her see my tweets. I kind of force it in her feed, and then she starts to like it, and she'll follow me. Now I got another follower. I don't have to do that with her anymore. She's a follower, and you grow your community that way. You want to be respectful about it.
Is that how he got you?
I don't remember, but that'll get me every time.
I don't remember. I think probably I came to the workshops when they first started, so probably we just follow each other.
Can I ask how many tweets you get a day?
How many I get a day?
And how many of them do you read? I mean,
You don't want to know.
You can't keep up with
You
them.
can
I mean,
control
that's
it.
just it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know, well,
Pick your
okay,
community,
so
who
this
you
is,
want to follow, be selective. Because of my work, I follow the Twitter feed of all the newspapers in Michigan, all the patch sites, a lot of individual journalists, a lot of health organizations, the community departments of community health, state of Michigan. So I get thousands of tweets a day, and I've learned to scroll real fast and cherry pick and not interested.
and I've used list up
Yeah, and
here.
I do use lists too, yeah.
yeah.
I have a list, like I have a list of
Overwhelming
newspapers,
for me.
a list of patch, a list of editors, a list of legislators, et cetera, which allows me to zero in on what I want to do.
I've just started doing Twitter, well, I've had it for a long time, but I've never really started using it until about 2 months ago. And I just started following people, and except for those people you just go, where did these people come from? But they've come from other people that I started following, and somehow or another they started following me. And it's, the amount of information I've gotten out of it is pretty amazing.
I find it very helpful. I see the news trends in the state, For example, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, there have been a lot of car accidents on highways, closing them down, all over the state. I don't know.
You're not supposed to be reading those while you're driving.
No. No, I don't.
Right?
But, just things like that, you start to see some trends. The other thing is like when the Boston Marathon incident happened, okay, you got about 1,000 tweets an hour all on that. So a lot of the stuff's redundant at that point.
You can follow the Tigers almost by the batter.
So you wanna be selective and you're building the community the other direction. Whose community do you wanna be in? As well as who do you want?
Be
Your
proactive, be
Yeah.
proactive, because if you're reactive, you'll end up with thousands of tweets about what people have for lunch.
Right.
And you can
That
change
sounds
your mind, you can
overwhelming.
unfollow.
That's
In
what makes it
addition-
overwhelming,
I
because
guess-
you haven't crafted your community from you start
Okay,
with the
I need
community.
to do better than that, yeah.
Glad you could come, Gordon.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I picked up a couple things.
And the hashtag, while he's going to.
Now, let me cover the hashtag. It's the pound sign with a word, no spaces. And that's just it's a tag. It puts it in a conversation. A good example of that is the Boston Marathon. Everyone was tweeting hashtag Boston Marathon. And if you were to go up into this search bar in Twitter and key in hashtag Boston Marathon, you would get the Twitter feed for that hashtag. Whether you're a follower or they're a follower of you, you get the conversation on the subject. So for me, obviously, I'm writing on how spirituality and health intersect. I often put pound sign spirituality and pound sign health in my tweets. I'm putting my tweets into those conversations.
Mhm. That's really good. And so, what's really cool about that is, I was saying Facebook is one of the best places to get traffic for your blog. Now, as of last week, your hashtags are also valuable on Facebook as well. So you can use the same hashtags. You might have seen people doing it anyways, but it was just for flair. Now the hashtags are actually being used on Facebook to use with the graph search, so people can put you in those conversations.
And they have mentions on Facebook too, with the @ sign and the Facebook username. I think they have to be your friend already, is that true?
That's true.
I think so,
Or
yeah.
that person has to put it so that anyone can tag them. Like
Okay.
in their settings, they have
Okay.
a public tag availability.
Real quick, cover a few other things here. There are other tools you may want to pick up on. One that the Media Lab is going big on right now is Tout. And for me, Tout's kind of a video version of Twitter in a way. And it looks kind of interesting. I haven't dug into that yet, but I'm already starting to think about how I could improve my blog posts with Tout posting. You can embed things like that in a blog post. Michelle made the suggestion, I like this, that I could write this post and then I could record like a 30-second spiel or give some backstory verbally, just me talking on camera, and actually embed that into the blog post for people who want to get a little extra or get a video version of things. Tout even lets you kind of have a dialogue like you would do with comments on a blog. You can video back. So it's going to be interesting to see where that goes, as things are more visual and more video. And there are other digital tools. There's the list, there's dozens and dozens.
So I have the top 5 for blogs here. So I think this kind of goes with it. I'll let you, so it's Twitter, Facebook. For musicians, it's still MySpace. MySpace is still the best way to get communication out for musicians. Everybody else is like forgotten about. Poor little MySpace. But also Digg, DIGG.com is it's one of the best places to release news and blog articles. It's still a place where people can vote things up or down. So kind of like Facebook, but it's only for, you just put your link in there and people rate it. They rate your article. Your article in this for Digg also includes blogs. And that's the best for communication. So if you're trying to increase like people to comment and stuff, Digg gets one of the best communication rates.
I mainly just use
Yeah.
Twitter and Facebook
Yeah,
for my social media.
and LinkedIn is the
Right.
5th one.
Yeah.
LinkedIn is the 5th one. And there's ways to actually put your blog on your LinkedIn profile, so it'll, you can put your best ones. So a lot of people, you know, you just say, you know, like CSI in Michigan, right? What that does is just take people to your last one. You might want to go through your blog and really think about it and say, what are your top 3? Like which ones are you really proud of? And put those as published blog articles right on your profile. And that can promote your brand using LinkedIn.
That's on my list.
So my takeaway here too was with the using of hashtags and the @ symbol, is that you want to be careful because you don't want to be on that list of people that they turn off.
Right.
You don't want to just put down what you had for lunch because that's like, okay, she does that all the time. I don't
Well,
want
yeah, I
This is
mean,
it.
you know, within reason. So, I mean, sometimes shoot, if I had a really good lunch, you might get that.
use that occasionally.
Occasionally, yeah.
You don't want to
And
abuse that.
And I try to make sure that when I'm looking back, like, there's more value than fluff, you know?
Right.
But here's an example. If you, in your Twitter feed, you see somebody who's interested in something you've just written about,
Mhm.
but they're not your follower, you could tweet your post and put their handle in as a mention, and you'd be sending that their way.
Okay.
You already have kind of prejudged that they're probably interested.
Mhm.
You've seen them have interest in that area. So you're not bugging them with what you had for breakfast. You're probably making a connection. And
Okay.
most likely they'll follow you when they see that.
Okay.
And I see that happen a lot.
But what she's talking about, that's true. But then there's also what they call the social breakup. If you are inconsistent, or if
Right.
you don't give what you profess you'll give, like if you say I'm here to talk about spirituality and health,
Mhm.
but it's really like a political rant every day, a lot of people won't unfollow you. They'll just like find some way to ignore you, like their ignore or mute buttons on most social media sites, and you'll be ignored. And that's why you see people sometimes have 10,000 followers and nothing from it, because people have socially broken up with them.
I have less than 400 followers. It seems to be a pretty steady audience. They've stayed with me. The folks I see who come and go are like marketers who want me to buy a product,
Right.
and they're around for a week or two, and then they unfollow me because I didn't respond.
Right.
So that's okay. I
Watch
wanted-
it with the marketing
Yeah.
jokes.
Leslie, no, I follow Leslie. I wanted to share with you 3 books that I found helpful. One's called Platform by Michael Hyatt. This is a real nuts and bolts book. And if you knew nothing about blogging, you could just use this book and you'd be up and running and have lots of great techniques. I didn't come across this till I'd already been blogging, but I made a number of changes as a result of reading this book. And he has a lot of helpful ideas. I go through stretches where it's a little bit of writer's block. And he gives like 13 ideas for when you're in that situation, things you can do that will help you get through it. But just a lot of really nice things in there. Another one, leads and conclusions. Remember that bounce rate in the analytics? If you don't grab them in the first paragraph, you may not get them to read the second. So your lead is real important. This is a real fun, easy read, but it's a helpful book. It's Leads and Conclusions. These are on the back of the sheet I gave you by Marshall Cook. And he gives, examples of doing it well, examples of not so well. I still struggle with leads. I'll have to read that again. And another one that I learned about from a workshop here in the Media Lab, he had one on the AP Style Guide. It's the Associated Press Style Book. This is last year's edition. And it's to write, it's not just in terms of like spelling, but in terms of writing properly. Where you capitalize something because of where it is healthcare with or without a hyphen, things like that. Doing it, what's kind of the rules for the journalists. And what's really nice with this is if you use a Microsoft product, if you use Microsoft Word, you can get a plugin for this that works like spell checker that will do your
Really?
AP style checking. It's not horribly expensive.
I'm learning.
I think it's $40 or $50
That's not bad.
for a year. Unfortunately, I'm on a Mac, and they haven't come out with their Mac version yet. But
You should get with PCs.
I used to be on the PC World. So. Anyway, those are 3 books that I found very helpful, just to have a little higher quality.
So we're talking about books. One that I just read was called Custom Nation, and
What was it called?
Custom Nation. It was actually published in like January or February of this year, and it's written by an entrepreneur and his sister-in-law who's a journalist. So it's a really good mix, and just talking about the whole idea of how no matter what you have, your blog is a way to, so your website is a way where people can quickly see what you have, like it's kind of standard things they expect from there, but your blog is your real way to niche yourself, to create that uniqueness, and how we've grown to a society that wants everything to be sort of customized, and that might be why, that's one theory why, kind of blogs might be so popular. And I have this chart here that has, of course it would have been nice if I had put it in a presentation, but I can send it to you too. And it has the top reasons why people read blogs. So the first is reading analysis and opinion on aid or development. So, and then the next one is following trends in the sector. So, because there's so much news now, people want like an informed piece about, like there might be, there's a new kidney drug. So as a National Kidney Foundation, what are your views on this new drug? Should we run through the FDA or what? Learning from others' experience, then keeping up with recent research, getting news on current affairs. And this is in order. Then reading satire and humor about the sector, finding career advice and jobs, and then hearing stories about living or traveling overseas. So even if you're not a travel blogger, adding some of your travels in there. And then reading blogs written by people I know. So that's one that I was touching on earlier. No matter what your audience is, your core audience is, your true people that believe in you and like and love you will always be interested in what you're writing. So.
Well, that's all I had. On the back of that sheet there, I included a couple of quotes that I've liked. Just reminders of why I'm doing what I'm doing as a blogger. And Susan Rice was as the ambassador to the UN, U.S., made a comment there about Twitter, the value of Twitter, which I think you could probably extend what she says to Facebook and other social media. But again, it's about reaching more people, and that's why you're blogging, is to share your message. So you want to reach more of your audience. I pulled this up too on the screen here. eMarketer came out with this just a couple days ago. Social networking has reached 1 in 4 around the world. It's, it's the community now, I guess.
It is.
So.
Any questions from you guys? It's open now for question and answer.
Do you optimize your blog now?
In WordPress, there's a setting you can make
Right.
for SEO, and on the paid version, it automatically loads up the link for that sends you to like 11 sites. So that's one thing you do. There are other things you can learn, and there's been a workshop on that through the Media Lab. When you do pictures, when you save the actual file, you give it a file name, use keywords with hyphens. It'll have better SEO traction on the picture itself. One thing I found too is in the title of your blog, have relative words. You can learn things like there's Google keywords and AdWords, and you can, if you learn how to use that, you can see what words are getting traction and not. For example, I found that on a particular day, the word health was getting like 300,000, and healthcare was like 18 million. So I should use healthcare in the title instead of health, if it fits. That kind of thing, if I want to improve on that.
So don't you do keyword search before you do it? article?
Well, I should, but honestly, I don't focus on that.
It's hard.
As much as
I
I
mean, that's, again, talking about the process, it can be lengthy. Unless like somebody portions off and says, you know, 10% of your job that we're paying you, your standard salary, you know what I'm saying? That you can do your blog. Most of us, even if it's for work, you're still like kind of squishing it into the day. So if you're talking about keyword search, it should be a process. You might want to look at your actual title, but going through and trying to optimize the whole article might be too lengthy of a process.
I think it's helpful to learn the general rules and just keep them in mind.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a few hyperlinks, that helps. Pingbacks, you know, people will post your article.
Yeah.
If you can
But I
get
know
people,
this is
get
your
people
line
to
of
take
work.
yours as a guest post, that will help their traffic and yours.
Yeah.
If you learn the basic rules, of course, it's a secret, but, you know, folks know the generalities of what helps. And if you're just aware of that, and
Do
be
you,
mindful.
do you have groups on your Twitter account and on your Facebook? Do you keep groups?
I use lists on Twitter.
I mean lists, and then groups on Facebook.
I'm in a few groups.
I have lists on both and groups on both.
In fact, Oakland County and Macomb County bloggers have, on the Oakland Press and Macomb Daily, there's a group for bloggers, right? I'm in both of those. Bloggers are helping each other with ideas.
Good idea.
That's a good place to go, probably.
Oh, yes.
Sign up on that.
So also Google and Bing will ding you. I'm just thinking about another reason why you don't want to get too involved in making sure everything is like you're optimizing every word. It's good to an extent, but if you can see that people are it may be seen as a spammy article, if it's too many links or too many like you're using all words that are popular words, but you know, maybe using kill where really you didn't need to use kill, but you're just using it to you know, attract people, attract attention. If you make a habit of that, you can be dinged and they'll kind of like ignore you. Google, I know, does that. They'll put you in like Google jail it can be up to 6 months.
I think spend more time on your actual message,
Yeah.
but be mindful of those things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Great
Thank you
job.
very much.
Can we do this again maybe tomorrow and I come with more questions?
Well, I mean, I want to speak for Bob, but I know we're open. I think we're open for questions. You know, I mean, if you have a question the next day or so, yeah, just
Oh,
email
Yeah, their
us.
cards are
Yeah,
out, so
we
you
gave
can
our
take their
cards.
business cards.
Yeah.
Just send us an email.
Yeah.
No, I just feel like it was so good that it's like, oh gosh, I could go home and digest things
Yeah.
and then come back again and go, okay, listen again.
Well, you post it online, right, Michelle? You post the video online?
Yeah, we're live streaming right now, and it'll be archived, so you can go back and view it on our
Okay.
Ustream channel.
Okay.
Ustream.
Do you have that on the Facebook? Like if I go to the about section, will it have the link for the live stream?
It won't, but I'll add it, and I'll put it in I'll make it a post too.
Okay.
Right now.
Oh, okay. I'll share it.
Okay.
Thank you. It's
Welcome.
great to have this resource here, you know?
I know, it is really good.
And I apologize for having to do some work while you were presenting. I hate that.
And see, I didn't know it until you just told me.
I am a one-person shop, so I had to keep on top.
I think I sent you like 3 face mail messages.
Oh, good.
Face mail messages.
Oh, Facebook or inboxes. Thank you.
And if anyone needs help with the blog, feel free to stop by or anything like that.
Thank you. Now, would that be the same for, like, my daughter has a blog, she is a history major, and she
connecting the two again.
Yes,
She
don't
made
fall
it
off the
better
face of
than
the earth
open
again.
nonprofit.
I won't.
No,
Check
everyone.
me out.
Yeah, and
Everybody
if
go to
her
Facebook
blog is of
Connect
general
with Lisa.
nature,
FaceTime
and
each
she's
other.
interested, she can become a blog
All right.
sharing partner with us, and I can link her on all of our news websites to drive traffic to her blog. She just needs to be willing to put our headline widget, which will drive traffic back to us.
Is that how we contact you?
Yeah, you can contact me through
I
that.
tried to convince her, she goes, Mom, I'm not doing nonprofit.
It doesn't have to be nonprofit.
I'm like, well, sweetheart, if you come, I'm sure there's something you're gonna learn. And I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah,
you
it's-
were answering questions I kept hearing her talk to my son about. I'm like, shoot, she should have been here.
Yeah.
Well, I have one that's not for nonprofit, but I wanted to make sure that I kept that as the top focus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. So you'll have another one coming up, another class coming up?
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate it.
There are 2 more scheduled in the lab.
Uh-huh.
There's a sheet
From Ohio,
outside.
since I'm from
I
Ohio,
got one. Huh? What'd you say?
since I'm from Ohio, can I still come back?
Yes.
I just thought of one out.
Very nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice meeting you. Thank you guys both for everything.
Thank you.
We learned something.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll be following you now.
I followed both of you guys.
Oh, good.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
so
take
it's
some of
been
these
fun.
for
We'll
there.
follow you
Oh,
back.
good.
We'll
So thank you.
go draw you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
that's
good.
And there's one more that's not on here, but let me tell you about it. It's July 10th,
Okay.
and that's 1 to 3. And that's telling stories with digital tools.
Is that gonna be on Meetup?
It's on there already.
Oh, is
Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah, and then we also, our next one is using, another one is using social media to engage your audiences.
Awesome.
And then I'll be
Thank
posting
you.
5 more soon, through
Okay.
August and September.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good. Thank you. I'll tell her to hook up with that meetup thing.
So if I do a business blog,
If you follow
or I mean,
me,
I
I'll
have a
post
website
ones that I
and my
do
resources and
as
so
well.
forth, and I'm
Yeah.
blogging on that.
Yeah, I followed
I
you
could
on
still
Facebook.
connect.
Is that what you mean?
Well,
Yeah.
there's
Or
some
does it
rules.
have
I'll
to
have
be,
email
does it have
you.
to be nonprofit?
It has to be, like, you can't,
Thank you.
it can't be an
Thank you, Bob.
advertisement, it can't be something,
No,
yeah.
no.
It's gotta be informative.
Like a resource?
If it's informative, yeah.
Like
I-
a resource or something like, yeah, not a.
I'll email you the rules.
Okay.
So you
Oh,
can see.
yeah, there you go.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, great, that would be
All
wonderful.
right, great.
Nice
Thanks
to
for
meet you.
coming. So
Thank
you said
you.
you came from Ohio?
Yeah, Toledo.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, sure. Bye.
All right, Michelle.
Oh, I've got to turn off the broadcast.